Irwindale, California is not only a great place to live, it's a great place to race. Drivers of the K&N Pro Series West have known that since 1999, and tonight, you're going to find out why. They call Irwindale an event center. It features a half-mile paved oval. 26th time the K&N Pro Series has raced here. Tonight, for the first time, Tanner Gray will see action on the oval. As for Hailie Deegan, same thing. The series didn't race here last year because the track was not on the schedule. Welcome back to Irwindale Speedway for the Ineos Napa Auto Parts 150 from Irwindale, California. I'm Dave Burns, along with Heather DeBoe down on pit road, and Brendan McReynolds. You've raced here. What does this place always deliver?
It always delivers side-by-side racing. You can see there's multiple grooves here. The top is normally the way to go, but they have laid down some PJ1 on the bottom, so I think these drivers are going to be side-by-side all night long. PJ1
being that sticky stuff for extra grip?
That's right. No, it's I know I've run on it at Bristol, and it helped a lot that racing last year, so I think it's going to be an exciting race tonight.
I think so, too. There's a look at it from high above. And a look at the points shows this. Jagger Jones only 4 points behind Brandon because Hailie Deegan passed him on the last lap at Vegas.
She did. There was a little bit of lap traffic going in turn 1 at Las Vegas at the dirt track, and Hailie Deegan, she executed the race perfectly. But I tell you what, Dave, I was really impressed with Jagger Jones. I think he's going to have a strong year, and his composure really impresses me.
Beautiful night at Irwindale, and there is Ron Hornaday Jr. driving a car very much like the one his dad drove to 7 of 8 wins here in the West. That's a 64 Ford Galaxy. Another California product. Hailie Deegan, how good's your car?
Man, it's really good. I knew that from practice. We had a lot of speed yesterday. We were definitely fast, and we had our setup really good. And I think that we didn't put any tires on, so we didn't like get that fast time. But we knew our setup was good coming in today, so I was really confident in it. I knew that if we come out here, fine-tune some stuff, we're definitely gonna have a good car for the race, and we could qualify good, and we did. So I'm pumped about that. It gives us just a little more breathing room for the race. I feel like I told my crew chief, I was like, hey, let's qualify a pole, make it a little easier for the race. So hopefully we can bring home another win, get back to back.
You can tell Hailie Deegan really excited, has a really strong car. I think we're going to see some side-by-side racing tonight, Dave. We saw Hailie Deegan qualify up top it with that PJ1. They're going to be side-by-side for all 150 laps.
Down in the pit area, Heather DeBoe is in the middle of the action. Heather, who has the upper hand here tonight, you think?
Well, Dave, it's going to be tough to beat Bill McAnally Racing tonight. That team has 14 victories here at Irwindale Speedway, including the last 5 in a row. It's also a big night for Bill McAnally Racing as they bring on a new sponsor in Ineos. Not only are they sponsoring tonight's race, but they do have 300+ guests in attendance in their hospitality area, including some Ineos executives who are looking for BMR to put on a good show. Bill has 4 drivers entered in tonight's event, one of which has experience here in the K&N West car, and that's Derek Kraus. He has a best finish of 4th in 2 starts. But they're already off to a great start with Hailie Deegan leading the field to green. So Brandon, Dave, I'm gonna leave it up to you to do the math on the odds percentage of whether or not Bill McAnally Racing ends up in victory lane tonight and gets win number 15.
Oh, Heather, I don't do math, you know that. Brandon, I guess I'd have to go maybe better than 75% chance. What do you think?
Well, I'd say it's pretty good because they're batting 1,000 right now. Derek Kraus won at New Smyrna, and Hailie Deegan won at Las Vegas, so the odds are definitely in their favor.
Front row right there. There you see Brittany Zamora, the other driver for them in row 6. And the 21-car field ready to come out of turn 4 and take the green for the 2nd time in the 2019 season. This is the K&N Pro Series West. They are green at Irwindale. Oh, Kraus right in the middle of that PJ1 track bike compound, and he gets a good launch off too.
Yeah, I think Hailie Deegan made the right decision starting on the top for this race. That's what we've always done at this racetrack, but obviously that PJ1's working really early on.
And that might be a decision all night long, do you think? What do you think now that she's seen that? Would she choose bottom later?
If we had a caution here, she would definitely go back down to the bottom. I mean, she saw what happened there. Derek Kraus, her teammate, able to clear her. But, I mean, that lane, they've moved right back up to the top, working their left sides just on those hash marks. There's a ton of grip right there. So I think that PJ1 for a long run, it's going to take some of these cars running down there and heating it up, so to speak, to get it to break in for a long period of time.
2 Bill McAnally Racing cars out front, then a DGR Crosley car. That's the white 15 of Tanner Gray. And then behind him, the teammates from Bruncati Racing, Sunrise Ford Racing, that is. The 9 is Trevor Huddleston. The 6 belongs to Jagger Jones.
Yeah, and Tanner Gray in a great spot here to start off this race, riding in third place, really getting to learn off those two Bill McAnally Racing cars, and he's got the one of the best right behind him, Trevor Huddleston, who has tons of laps around here, so definitely in good company early on.
Yeah, let's remember, T-Hud has been here for track championships. He's been here for different types of races. Plus, his dad runs the place, so he's got track time if he wants it, I think, Brandon, and he's going to try to prove it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely no excuses going in tonight. He definitely has the laps around here, and we'll look for him to execute this race probably better than most.
Back a little bit, a couple of cars. The orange 43, that's Cody Vanderwall. The 08 Travis Milburn. Behind them, the 77 of Takuma Koga. This is the battle for 13th. And this is the kind of thing that the fans in the stands, by the way, which are packed, love to see here, Brandon. Battles all around the racetrack with this progressive banking at Irwindale. It's always been famous for.
Yeah, the progressive banking is awesome. One of the things that really surprises you as you race out here, and I can remember running here in 2014 and 15, is when you're running that top, it's really hard to get a pass on someone. You have to keep your momentum up. You really got to enter in right on their quarter panel or get them free and kind of nudge them in the left rear a little bit, get them up the hill. Especially with how wore out this place is, it's easy to keep your momentum up. But I know they laid down that track biter that PJ won about a week ago for a late model race. The competitors are really excited about it. Really creates that lower groove that we haven't really seen here in quite some time, probably since they used to run those all-star showdown races back here when we used to watch Joey Logano whoop up on the guys a little bit. So it's been a few years since we've seen really great racing here, but we can expect that tonight with that PJ1.
Well, when the track was new, right? And that's when there was so much grip down there. Last 2 years ago when they raced here, not that impressed with what they were doing. So the track and NASCAR made the decision, hey, we're gonna put some sticky stuff down there.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to remember we got that halfway break or halfway segment coming up. That's going to be, you get to take 2 right side tires. So that's only going to just increase the amount of side-by-side racing as we watch Brittany Zamora passing the 6 of Jagger Jones. Just already seeing side-by-side racing, and she's using them up right here, just making sure that he knows that she's there.
There is Brittany, just getting her feet wet in the K&N Pro Series. Same for Jagger Jones. So a couple of rookies here figuring it out on the high banks of Irwindale.
Yeah, and that car is turning really good, Dave. For her to be able to enter in the middle of the racetrack and really work that middle, keep her momentum up, have that good turn off of turn 4 and off of turn 2, that's pretty impressive. I know Kevin Bellicourt, our crew chief at VMR team, is really giving her a good car.
Brittany's from Kennewick, Washington. She'll turn 20 in the month of April. Looking for a good career in NASCAR. Already has had one at the local tracks, making her way in the K&N Pro Series.
Yeah, I got to spend a few laps racing around her at New Smyrna in the series opener, and really impressed with her. You can tell she doesn't have a ton of experience in these heavier cars, but she'll get it figured out. She's in good company, and she can really learn a lot off of Derek Kraus, her teammate, and Haley Deegan in the 19.
Here's the top 3. Deegan in the black 19. She was the pole sitter. Her teammate, Derek Kraus, in the blue 16, he got the jump at the start, and Tanner Gray has not left him. He's been right there as part of this threesome.
Yeah, he's just sizing these two up, just trying to figure out how to get around, but really good racing here at the start of this race.
Yes, what they've come to expect here at Irwindale ever since the place was built close to the turn of the century. In fact, let's go back in the day and show you the 3rd race ever here. 8 lead changes among 4 drivers, with the 18 of Bobby Dotter on the pole on the inside. But he got jumped at the start by Johnny Borneman. Later in the race, the 16 of Brendan Gaughan, he would challenge, but it would be a night for Dotter not to forget. Bobby Dotter claimed victory here, led the most laps, and it was the first of 4 wins in the 2000 season. Got beat to the championship by Gaughan, but Bobby really showed his stuff here, and a great short track racer and now car owner in NASCAR. Just underway here at the Irwindale Speedway. Dave Burns and Brandon McReynolds enjoying the side-by-side action. Heather DeBow is down in the pit lane, keeping track of everything down there. A couple of drivers having good runs there. That was Todd Souza on the inside and Jack Wood on the outside in the red 78. Meanwhile, this is the battle for the lead. Tanner Gray has put the nose of the 15 past Haley Deegan for second. No, not yet.
Tanner Gray able to turn that 15 car down the hill and use some of that PJ1 on exit, which could help that forward drive. So it'll be interesting to see if he keeps running in the middle or if he tries to dive down way to the bottom like we saw Derek Kraus take the lead early on that initial start from Haley Deegan in the 19.
So the challenge, the momentum is up top, right, but the grip is down low?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Derek Kraus has been doing a really good job keeping the momentum up, but you can see the 15 turned really well, got some of that PJ1, able to take the lead. Now Haley Deegan in the 19 trying to go down there and see what the PJ1's all about.
Oh, shot off the corner, but then got bogged down behind Rich DeLong in the white 84. And that is going to keep her in second place. Tanner Gray to the lead at Irwindale in only his second career start. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Irwindale Speedway, the site of tonight's Ineos Napa Auto Parts 150, and it is underway. 51 laps working at this point. 75 or so. NASCAR will throw the halfway break caution, and the teams will get a chance to put on 2 tires, Brandon. The obvious choice would seem to be on an oval, right sides. Is there any option there, you think?
Yeah, I think you got to go with right sides. I mean, these General tires, they hold up really well. We saw that at New Smyrna. Obviously, the dirt track isn't a really good gauge for that, but I think you got to put right side tires. I mean, this place is notorious for either burning up the right front if your car is a little tight and you're having to put a lot of wheel in it, or burning up that right rear tire under throttle as you're trying to leave the corner. So I think right sides is going to be the way to go for all these crew chiefs and drivers.
Brittany Zamora holding down 5th in that orange 99. Ineos, by the way, the largest petroleum company in Japan. They entered the sport a couple of years ago, I believe, through Chip Ganassi Racing, and now find themselves with Bill McAnally. And I bet you can get some of their product at a Napa store. What do you think?
I hope I can get something for free from McAnally from driving for him, so I'll have to hit him up. But no, Bill McAnally, he does such a great job for this series. We talked about it last year quite a bit. If it wasn't for him, a lot of these events wouldn't be able to be put on.
Yep.
He supports it so much with Napa, and now Ineos coming on as a new partner. I've learned so much driving for Bill McAnally as a young man trying to represent sponsors in this sport, and he does a really good job, so we definitely got to give props to him.
This is the battle up front. That is a DGR Crosley car, the 15, the black and white car of Tanner Gray, who has led for a little while now. Right behind him, the black 19 of Haley Deegan. And now into 3rd, Trevor Huddleston. Kraus has dropped back to 4th. And so Huddleston, we mentioned his experience here, number of laps, 3-time track champion, knows how to get around this place and moving forward in that 9 car.
And I think he's playing this race just right. He's just riding back there, just lurking in the weeds, so to speak, riding in 3rd, and you can tell he's being really smooth, just keeping his left side just below those hash marks where it helps your car turn just a little bit. I mean, no one else in this field, we've talked about it, Dave, knows how to get around this place better than Trevor Huddleston. So I think he's just waiting to get to that break, sizing up his competition. They'll probably make a small change with Clinton Graham as crew chief and go on to the races for the rest of the race. So I really impressed with the race that he's running right now.
The Huddleston family basically in love with the Irwindale Speedway. His dad, Tim, was here when they broke ground way back in 1998. Raced here, was a 3-time champion himself. And about a year ago, got together with Bob and Maureen Bruncati and took over the lease for this place. It's really been up in the air for years, and now it's on more solid ground with the Bruncatis and the Huddlestons managing here. Here's Heather with more on the driver of that orange 99 car, Brittany Zamora.
Well, guys, one driver I've been keeping my eye on during this early part of the race is the number 99 of Brittany Zamora. Now, coming into this race, she only has 2 starts in the K&N Pro Series. One being at New Smyrna, being her first race ever in a K&N car, and the second being at the dirt track at Las Vegas. Now, in both those races, she told me she was out of her comfort zone, one being which she wasn't used to the cars, and she's never raced on dirt. So when talking to her today, she said tonight will be the night to really see what she has in these cars, and she said it could be her best chance to get a top 3 or even a win as she makes her return to her roots on asphalt. Now, she started this race in 11th, and she's currently in the 5th position trying to catch the leaders.
Yeah, Brittany's been doing a great job at the start of this race. I think the biggest thing for her is just managing expectations. We watched Haley Deegan all year last year doing a really good job getting a top 10, getting a top 5, and then getting that win at Meridian. I think it's important for her to just make sure to keep her emotions in check and keep her goals in check, as she knows her teammates are going to be tough to beat week in and week out for the wins.
A couple of first-timers in the picture as well. They're Cole Cabrera in the 27 car, first start in the K&N Pro Series, and then they're lapping Austin Tom in the 40, who hopes to be in for a few more races this year, according to that team. Getting his feet wet in the K&N Pro Series. So good racing all the way around Irwindale. Derek Kraus jumped out to the lead early. He was overtaken by Tanner Gray and now finds himself back a little bit in the top 5. Meanwhile, the 6 of Jagger Jones for Bruncati Racing having a good night, Heather.
Jagger Jones told me earlier today that this is actually the real start to his season. He said starting the races off in Vegas on dirt just wasn't his thing, but now that they're on pavement, he can really stack himself up against the other competitors to see where he will be running against them in the race. He also said that his focus and something that he was trying to learn to do better is not using too much brake so the brakes don't overheat. And just as I said that, his spotter and driver coach, Ryan Partridge, came over the radio and told him just that. Try not to use the brakes too much. You don't want to overheat them. So certainly a learning experience here in K&N West Series in his second start for Jagger Jones.
Yeah, we see those brake rotors glowing, Heather, and that's not, Brandon, a sign that the end is coming, but it's a little bit of a warning sign, right?
Yeah, and Ryan Partridge, his driver coach, is telling him all the right things. I mean, Ryan Partridge gets around this place almost just as good as Trevor Huddleston, if not a little bit better. I mean, those guys have a lot of laps around here, so definitely the right guy on the radio. And you're right, Dave. I mean, you can get a little bit of brake low on that front end with your front brakes. It's just the biggest problem you're going to have is it might make that car a little tight. It'll just build air pressure in those front tires and kind of swell them up almost like basketballs or like a balloon, making the car really hard to turn in the center of the corner.
Wow, that was close. Todd Souza in the blue 13, a little tight with the second place car of Haley Deegan coming off the corner. And that gives Tanner Gray a chance to stretch it out just a little bit as we approach halfway tonight in the 150 lapper here at Irwindale.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more cars starting to work down to the bottom and work that PJ1 at the very bottom to the middle to the lower groove, kind of working that apron a little bit. Cole Cabrera making some headway now on Jagger, working that very bottom. It looks like it's starting to heat up and starting to work for these drivers. At the start of the race, they're all running the top, and now the bottom seems to be the way to go.
Cabrera in the black 27, the 25-year-old from Exeter, California, in his first start in the K&N for Jefferson Pitts Racing. Always put a good product on the track and a great proving ground for a young driver like Cole.
That's a good point, Dave. I know, Jeff Jefferson and Jerry Pitts, they've been really excited with this young driver, hard worker, doing a really good job, racing side by side, trying to break into the top 5.
Oh, Cody Vanderwall with trouble. Sorry, Brandon. Right there, you saw the sparks fly, and Vanderwall in the orange 43 is in the wall, and that will bring out the caution very close to the halfway break. And that's unfortunate. Cody wasn't having the best of nights, but damage now to that Ford, and he'll bring it onto the pit lane.
It almost looks like he cut down a right front tire. You can see the right side of the nose laying on the ground right there and the sparks coming out of it. So tough break for Cody Vanderwall here.
See if we get a look. There's the camera going away from us. Cody's in the high groove. And then right about there, we start seeing the sparks.
Yeah, as soon as he drops down in turn 1, right near that white line, he just launches straight towards the wall and pretty much has all indications that either something broke or kind of has the looks of a right front tire down.
Yep, he could have run over something. It's just hard to tell. NASCAR has told us this will be the halfway break, close enough to lap 75. So an opportunity for pit stops while we're away. We'll see you back here at Irwindale. Race number 2 for the K&N Pro Series in the West from Irwindale Speedway. And they have put on a show for a packed house tonight. By the way, they're going to get a Destruction Derby later, so they're excited for a lot tonight. But the great racing has led the evening. Tanner Gray taking the lead in the 15. And then this caution for Cody Vanderwall. Right front tire appears to have gone down, and he ended up in the turn 1 wall. That took us to the halfway break. All the cars came down pit road, Brandon, and I didn't see any exceptions on the right sides. They get 2 tires. I think they all took rights.
Yeah, I think you got to take your right side tires. And the biggest thing that we're going to see right here is which crew chiefs and drivers over-adjusted by putting those right side tires on. It should tighten up the car a little bit. So hopefully these young drivers didn't kind of talk themselves out of it, so to speak. So we'll see who's got what here in the final stage of the race.
Black and white 15 on the outside. That is Tanner Gray. He's the control car. He gets the green. On the inside, Haley Deegan is the black 19. Her teammate Kraus right behind. Immediately dives to the low side. That worked for him at the outside of the race. He's going to try it again.
I was surprised to not see Haley Deegan go down to the PJ1. That's how she got past at the very start of the race. But Derek Kraus taking advantage of a good launch off of turn 4. Just edging ahead of Tanner Gray in the 15.
He was the leader at the line that time, but Gray using that momentum on the outside. But it will be Derek Kraus back to the lead in the Napa 16.
I think what we'll see is Derek Kraus go back up to the top, and there you see it. He goes up, runs that 3rd, 4th groove. Left side's just under the hash marks. I think the biggest thing that the reason that, you know, some of the fans might be going, man, you just made a pass on the bottom, why don't you go back down there? But I think you got to be really careful of overheating and building up air pressure. There's so much grip down on the bottom, it could blow up that right front air pressure line. You can get really tight later in the race. I think that's why we see guys kind of overtake each other and then move back to the top.
There's Haley moving down to the bottom. No, she's going to loop the 19. She's out of control and spinning in turn 1. Haley Deegan went to that PJ1, Brandon, but it looks like it just didn't have the grip she needed.
Yeah, it's like she tried to enter down there and then just kind of washed up a little bit, got into the side of the 15 of Tanner Gray, and around she went. And that's a tough spot to be in because you're racing so hard, trying to get that track position, fighting hard for the second place.
Oh, she never got down there.
Well, you can, yeah, she just kind of missed it, and you can see her car bottoming out on entry, which makes that car really hard to turn. So just one of those deals. She got in there a little hot and got on the side of Tanner Gray, but luckily no damage for her. So she's going to be all right and rejoin the back of the field and go to work. You can see that left front skirt bottoming out pretty hard. And when that happens, it's just keeping the left front tire off the ground and really hard to get that car turned. So just one of those racing deals.
And there's Haley limping around now in that 19. Look at that left front, low on air pressure. Crew is going to have to take a look at that as she'll rejoin at the rear of the field. Meanwhile, up front, Derek Kraus has taken command, but Tanner Gray and Trevor Huddleston are right there just after halfway. Back at Irwindale Speedway, cleanup complete. The Ineos Napa Auto Parts 150 ready to get restarted on the outside. The blue 16, that is Derek Kraus. He will be the control car. Tanner Gray in only his second start in the K&N Pro Series, working against a third-year driver, Brandon, who's going for a championship this year. There's nothing less that the 16 driver is looking for in this series.
Huge jump for Derek Kraus in the 16. I was wondering why he chose that outside, but I guess he just felt like he could get a good launch on Tanner Gray in the 15, able to clear the field, pulling away a little bit now.
He's done it on both the top and the bottom, so good launch effort by the driver of the 16. Meanwhile, behind him, stacked up, the 9 is Trevor Huddleston, the 6 is Jagger Jones, and here comes Brittany DeZamora in that orange 99.
Yeah, she's still working that middle groove. She's been doing it all night long. That car's been really strong, but teammates here, the 9 and the 6, racing really hard right there in front of her.
Good battling behind them as well. 27, the black car, is Cabrera. The 10 is Matt Levine, having a good run. But this is 3 wide. What you'd expect at Irwindale. Whoa, careful.
Yeah, Jagger Jones goes down to grab his left sides on the PJ1 and the 99 of Brittany Zamora. She's like, I'm not going to have any of it. I'm going to keep my nose in there. Pulls up alongside of him, really working that bottom groove really well. You can see that 99 hitch right in the center of the corner, really take off, squat the rear, and get a lot of forward drive leaving the corner.
Jones is going to try to use that momentum on top. Brittany's going to try to use the grip down low. It's the shorter way around. Like Brandon mentioned earlier, for years, when it was new, you could really make a lot of progress down there. Cabrera now down to the bottom. There's Levine, and here comes Haley Deegan. Just spun, brought out the caution, and now working her way back through. Brandon, what's her situation now?
She's going to be on kill mode right here. She's going to be driving up through the field. She's already gotten a lot of that track position back, and I know her car is really good tonight. So I think she's going to be right there in the hunt, and who knows, she could be battling for the lead here by the end of this thing.
Haley was the fastest qualifier, won the first race of the season for the West out in Vegas. This is the battle for second between the 9 of Huddleston and the 15 of Tanner Gray. Heather, you've kept your eye on Tanner Gray in that 15 and only his second start. What's going on?
Well, Tanner Gray certainly is a quick learner. He told me that when he was racing pro stocks in the NHRA, he got his first start in 2016 in his dad's car, and then went on to win the championship in 2018, becoming the youngest driver to do so. And here he is racing stock cars on oval tracks. He told me he does have some experience in outlaw karts from when he was younger, but this is only his second time in the K&N Pro Series in the East earlier this season. He told me that he really learned that he needs to learn how to save equipment and save his tires, so that's what he's working on in tonight's race.
Tanner's grandpa, Johnny, and his dad, Shane, both were drag racers, built their own engines. Brandon, you can appreciate that, and were very, very successful.
Yeah, Tanner Gray is such a good kid, has a great family. I've spent a little bit of time around him, got to race with him at New Smyrna, and I think David Gillen and that group is perfect for him to work with, and I just appreciate his willingness to learn. He's a champion over in NHRA, but he's willing to put in the work, and he knows that he messed up at New Smyrna, burned up his tires a little bit, and here he is running up front, running one of the greatest races that he's been in. So doing a good job and definitely a quick study, so good for him.
We're watching a good battle for 8th back there, the 50 of Dylan Garner and the 10 of Matt Levine. Haley is up to 6th now, getting around Cole Cabrera and staying to that high side, Brandon. I'm sure she felt a little something in that 19 when it went around that she doesn't want to experience again, and kind of married to that high line right now.
Yeah, the middle groove just so hard to run, especially with someone right on your door, but she's keeping that 19 wound up. You can see her running the very top, splitting the seam almost, just doing a really good job running down her teammate, the 99 of Brittany Zamora. So, like I said earlier, we can't count Haley Deegan out. She's done a great job recovering, and she still has plenty of time to get that car up there and battle for the win.
There's Levine now working underneath Garner. Really go down there for a taste of grip. Yep, just a little bit. Nice shot off the corner. Matt's crew chief, of course, Storm and Ron Norman, who used to race as well in this series, and they work together out of the Tucson area, fielding 2 cars here tonight. And Matt's going to stay to that low line.
Yeah, he was trying to work the middle right there, and it's just, I can remember from racing here, Dave, it's just so hard to keep your momentum up. You either have to be super aggressive and enter, almost like Haley Deegan did earlier when we saw her spin. You almost have to enter right on their door, just to their left rear quarter panel, and really run them hard, keep your momentum up, or you got to just really take advantage of that bottom groove and create some distance and hope you can get the forward drive and clear them off the corner.
Dylan Garner has a lot of laps here at Irwindale. He's part of a 3-car late model team that included Trevor Huddleston and Jagger Jones. So he knows how to get around this place, kind of knows what it takes, but the experience of the heavier cars, that's a real different. It's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the late models, they just don't weigh near as much, and you're able to be a little bit harder on the tires and really run them hard, but he's doing a great job. He's working that outside groove, which is obviously one of the easier places to run on your tires so you're not burning them up. So, yeah, getting to learn these heavier cars is definitely a challenge, but it definitely helps when you have the track time and the experience at a certain racetrack to kind of help you work through that.
You can tell from the graphic, Matt Levine likes this place. Best career finish was here. Meanwhile, Zamora chased by Deegan. And this at lap 103, working 103 of 150. It's getting down to a good short track battle here for the fans, which we've mentioned already. Full house here tonight. They're enjoying a fantastic K&N Pro Series show. While Haley Deegan chases Brittany Zamora, let's hear from Haley herself.
I'm Haley Deegan. I'm from Temecula, California, and I race the number 19 Monster Energy Napa Power Premium Plus Toyota Camry. Back when I first started racing, I raced off-road trucks. I made my transition into late models when I was about 15, 16. After that, I was in the K&N Series last year, and now this year is my 2nd year in the West Series. I had kind of a bucket list last year of all my goals I wanted to accomplish. We accomplished them all.
Score one for the ladies. Haley Deegan wins in Meridian.
This year, I'm definitely hoping to win the championship. It's going to be a lot of work for me and my team, but hopefully we can keep working as hard as we can to get there. I definitely want to get everything I can out of the West Series before I move to trucks or ARCA, and then give everything I can out of that series before I move to the next one. I just want to win in every level that I'm at. I'm Haley Deegan, and this is your NASCAR Next Gen Profile.
And folks, that is so Haley. Brandon, she's a breath of fresh air on this series and a really talented driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, following her on Instagram and just kind of keeping track of her and getting a race against her, just have a lot of respect for her and her family. Obviously, the program that Jack Irving with Toyota and Bill McAnally, obviously the owner of Bill McAnally Racing, have put into place for her is second to none. Every single time you look on Twitter, on Instagram, or Facebook, she's driving something. And I think that's something that all young drivers that are going to want to make it in this sport need to really set some goals, be realistic, but at the end of the day, you got to be in a race car and you got to be out there tearing it up every single week, whether it's Monday or Friday. It seems like she's in a race car, so props to them for putting her in a good spot to develop her talent.
The spin in turn 4, that's Joey Tanner. He's around in the 7 car. That's the second Jefferson Pitts Racing car, the 27 of Cabrera being the other. And Tanner, I don't believe, hit anything or anyone. Is that as close to an innocent spin as we can get, Brandon?
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to get back going in front of the field, so going to go a lap down. Tough break for Joey Tanner. I got to catch up with him in Las Vegas for the dirt race, and awesome guy, really good driver, so tough break for him here.
Specialty is dirt. You can see the very top of the screen. I guess he got up into it, the marbles here at Irwindale. And the Portland, Oregon driver loops it around, and evasive action by all. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, it looks like he just jumped the cushion a little bit, so to speak, especially for a dirt racer. So able to join the back of the field and see what he's got the rest of the race.
Crews are watching a good one from down below. Come back to see the finish here at Irwindale. Glad you could join us for tonight's K&N Pro Series West action. The Ineos Napa Auto Parts 150 from Irwindale. Brandon Reynolds alongside me, Dave Burns, Heather DeBow down on pit road. And we're seeing a good one. Restart here. The leader is the blue 16 of Derek Kraus on the outside. Trevor Huddleston in the blue and orange 9 to his inside. Straight up off the corner for Huddleston, but it's not going to be enough. That momentum for Kraus carries him back into the outright lead. Look at Tanner Gray trying to break the middle there.
Yeah, and all these cars right here, we've seen these guys battle all night long in the top 5, so we're going to see who took care of their tires earlier on in the race in the first segment and who's going to take advantage of that here in the second segment. So Trevor Huddleston really working that bottom groove hard on Derek Kraus in the 16.
30 to go, and they're all stacked up at the front in Irwindale. Huddleston with hundreds, thousands of laps around this track in the 9 car, battling Derek Kraus, who's really had a handle on this race since he took the lead around the halfway point. Oh, contact! Tanner Gray tries to move to the high side, but Huddleston's there.
It almost looks like Trevor Huddleston was going to try to get behind Tanner Gray in the 15 and shoot back down to the bottom. Gets pinned back on the top in the 6, and Jagger Jones, his teammate, starting to put the pressure on him.
And Tanner Gray has not let off. You know, Brendan, I started this race thinking, okay, are you going to save your stuff? Are you going to... I mean, Tanner Gray has been on it all night long.
Yeah, he has. And let's not forget, though, at the very beginning when Haley Deegan and Derek Kraus were setting the pace of this field, Tanner Gray was just kind of lurking back there just in front of Trevor Huddleston and Jagger Jones right in the 3rd spot. He made a challenge for the lead early on, but it really looks like he's taking good care of those tires tonight. Definitely a huge lesson learned from New Smyrna.
Jagger Jones and Haley Deegan, the two that duked it out in the final lap at Vegas, battling here. Jones gets a little bit loose on that bottom groove.
Yeah, and Haley's been committed to that middle to top groove, keeping that momentum up. She hasn't tried the very bottom a whole lot, so she might be keeping that in her back pocket for later in the race as she has to go up there and battle with these 2 or 3 cars in front of her.
Side by side for the lead. Tanner Gray down on the inside. The 19-year-old, originally from New Mexico. On the outside, the Wisconsin driver, Derek Kraus in the 16.
And Tanner doesn't have much of an option right here but to try to overtake or pass the 16 of Derek Kraus. But the biggest thing he has to make sure not do is overheat his front tires with too much brake, building up that right front air pressure, because it'll hurt him in the long run right here.
That's a good point. And Huddleston may be thinking that in the blue and orange 9. Right there in 3rd, just kind of riding right now, not losing any contact with the leaders.
Yeah, and Kraus has a good car, so he's just baiting these guys into going to the bottom. He's not putting a lot of wheel in it, getting off the brake pedal, rolling the middle. You can see him carry good momentum up off the corner, so he's just inviting these guys to go down to the bottom and really burn up their tires down there.
Well, I guess that's what I was thinking. You know, Gray looks like he's been driving the car hard. Kraus has been faster than everybody, but just is very, very smooth on that high side, Brandon.
Yeah, that's right. You can see him right there, just keeping the 15 pinned down a little bit. Tanner Gray trying a little bit different groove, getting sideways off the corner, really working that wheel. You can see his white gloves in there, just getting all he can. A lot of brake heat out of that 15, though, right now, so he's got to make sure and not get those front tires and front brakes too hot.
So cool. Side by side still for the lead. And Gray moves up just a little bit. Kraus holds his line, no contact there.
Yeah, we're looking at this place, and it might be a short track, but you can see it. He got in there a little hot, and it almost looked like truck racing where it takes the air off you a little bit, so the 15 getting a little sideways. If he could just clear the 16 of Derek Kraus, I think he'd be off to the races, but just can't quite get past the nose of that 16 car.
What a battle, and the crowd is loving it. They've basically been on their feet since driver introductions. They were stomping in the grandstands. It sounded like thunder. They've been all over this event. They've seen great racing, and they still have a demolition derby coming up, Brandon. So what a night for fans at Irwindale.
Yeah, the fans are loving it, but I tell you what, right now, that 9 car, Trevor Huddleston, right in there in 3rd. He's just lurking, waiting on one of these guys to prevail. He's sitting back there taking care of his tires. I'd say with about 5, maybe 10 laps to go, he's going to make a strong push as long as he can just keep that track position and stay in the mix.
Oh, wow, look at Gray hanging on to that race car. He'll try to pass Derek Kraus if Huddleston doesn't get him first here at Irwindale. We'll be back in a moment. Laps winding down at Irwindale. The battle up front has been intense and no different back in the top 5. You see Haley Deegan trying to hold off Jagger Jones in that 6 car.
Haley finally found that lower groove down 1 and 2. You saw her get a good launch and pull away from the 6 of Jagger Jones, and then right back to the good old reliable top, keeping that momentum up. So I'm telling you, these leaders better hope we don't get a caution, because Hailie Deegan will be right back in the mix. I think she's got one of the best cars, just looking at the lap times right now, laying down some really good laps and laid it all on the line, as you can see her get loose off of turn 2.
Fastest in qualifying was Deegan, but she's only up to 4th, and the top 3 have really gotten away from her now. You know, you have to wonder, Brandon, if she kind of burned her stuff up getting back through the field there. It's, I guess, easy to do probably when you're driving as hard as she is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, luckily for her, I think she picked off quite a few of those cars right at the start when she had to restart towards the back. So definitely is harder on your tires having to come through the field, but I think she could still have something for these guys if she could get a late race caution.
Jagger Jones sideways in the 6 car. Grandson of Parnelli Jones, his dad PJ, very involved in his development as a racer. Excited to see him with the Bob Roncati Racing family this year.
Now Jagger's moved back down to the bottom, trying to get that PJ1 and starting to run Hailie Deegan in the 19 back down. So definitely a lot of grip right there. You don't have anything to lose. You're not going to burn up your tires anymore down there with just 8 laps to go. So that might be the way to go for these drivers.
Been watching the graphic running up on top. You know that Trevor Huddleston has gotten by Tanner Gray officially, and now is trying to track down Derek Kraus in that blue 16. We'll get back to that in a minute. This battle for 5th is intense. Battle for 4th, actually, and Haley's going to have to give it up if Jagger Jones can get a good run off the corner. Oh, not quite. That momentum working for Hailie.
Yeah, and what happened, the 6 car came out of that PJ1. You can see where that dark spot on the racetrack where it ends, and then you lose a lot of forward drive right there. So just struggling to finish that pass.
Whoa, way up in the marbles. Derek Kraus loses the handle on the 16, and Trevor Huddleston goes to the lead.
Man, you can see a lot of brake heat right there out of Derek Kraus in the 16. Almost thinks that he's having a little bit of brake issues, getting that car slowed down. He just kind of jumped the cushion down to 1 and 2 and gives up to the lead late here in the race. So tough break for Derek Kraus. We'll see if he can get it back under him and make a charge back to the front.
Well, Tanner Gray smells blood. He immediately tries to go in and take over second, but look at Huddleston, the driver with the most laps probably in the field around this place in the 9 car, now has control, and he's got that clean high line he can work with.
And that was huge for Tanner Gray right there to clear the 16 to Derek Kraus as quick as possible. If he wants a shot at the win in this race, he had to clear the 16 and not waste too much time getting by him for second place.
Back to the top 3. Huddleston, the orange and blue 9, the 15 of Tanner Gray, and the blue 16 of Kraus. What happened with that 16 car? Does he have anything left? I don't know. Brandon, doesn't look like it. The 15 of Gray is trying to track down Huddleston now.
Yeah, it just makes me think that Derek Kraus has a little bit of an issue right there, because, I mean, it's not like he was up there burning up his tires. We watched him all night long. He was being smooth on the wheel, smooth on those rear tires. Just went down in turn 1. It's like he couldn't stop and just got over that cushion a little bit. Took him out of it. But I'm telling you what, Dave, things are heating up right here. Tanner Gray, he's being committed to that bottom. We're going to see if Trevor Huddleston might move down there and take away that groove in the PJ1 and see what he can find.
2 to go this time by. Tanner Gray is there. Can Trevor Huddleston hold him off? Tanner Gray only his 2nd start in the K&N Pro Series. Huddleston ran the entire season last year. Huddleston down the backstretch. He still has the advantage.
And both of these guys, they got to be perfect right here. Even though they're running 2 different lanes, they can't miss it by an inch or they're done. Tanner Gray really working over Trevor Huddleston with 1 to go right here.
1 lap to go. Huddleston on the high side. Back to the bottom. Goes Tanner Gray. He's got a good run off the corner. They're side by side, but that momentum is going to carry Huddleston still in the lead in turn 3.
He's going to have to use him up here a little bit right here, Dave, because the 9, he's going to get the launch, I think.
Off the corner, who's got it? To the line, it's Huddleston. Trevor Huddleston gets through, and he spins in turn 1 and smacks the wall.
Man, that was huge. I could see it coming. The 9 had that momentum rolling, Dave, and got it all spooled up, so to speak. He got that good launch off at turn 4, but heck of a drive for Tanner Gray on the bottom.
There it is at the line, and the momentum on the top is going to serve Trevor Huddleston, and right there, you can tell, cut down a tire as he heads to turn 1. No control in that 9 car.
Yeah, tough break to win the race and get tore up, but at the end of the day, that 9, he's going to be taking home the trophy, and man, what a finish, and applaud NASCAR for putting down that PJ1, because I mean, look at this finish, side by side.
Oh my goodness.
Beating each other in the door. That's what short track racing's all about. That's awesome.
I guess to bend the cliche a little bit, this was checkers and wreckers.
Absolutely, we got the best of both worlds.
Oh.
Man, that thing is tore up, but Tough break for that team, but ultimately, you know they're going to be pumped with that young driver getting the checkered flag. Both those guys laying it all on the line. That's all you can ask for in a short track race. It's pretty cool.
T. Hudd, the 23-year-old from Agoura Hills, California, in victory lane at his home track. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Trevor Huddleston may have bent everything but the K&N filter on his 9 car. Coming to the checkers, cut down a tire, battling with Tanner Gray, spun the car, smacked the wall. Thankfully, is able to enter victory lane or get it towed there. And Heather's caught up with the group now. There's Trevor jumping out of his car, battered as it may be, Heather.
Trevor Huddleston gets his first career victory here at his home track of Irwindale Speedway. We had to do the official celebration and get him out of the car, even though there's a little bit of damage that happened after the finish line. A lot of things going on right now, Trevor, but we want your thoughts as you just won your first career K&N West race.
My thoughts are, this is freaking unreal. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, come here, Bob. This is the man that makes my dreams happen right here. I can't thank him enough. This whole crew, everyone. Wow, we won. We won. That's all I have to say.
Now we have to go back to the racing. You had quite a battle there, almost a photo finish coming to the line, but what happened after?
I don't know, that Tanner kid's a little rough. I don't know, maybe that's how they play on the East Coast, but he just kind of drilled me into the wall and didn't want to get off me, so it's all right. We won, he didn't, so I ain't gonna complain, but man, we made some changes. We went through adversity and we did it.
Congratulations, enjoy it, Trevor.
Thank you.
A little East Coast, West Coast thing going on there, Brandon.
Yeah, that's all right. It always keeps the rivalry strong. So huge win for Trevor Huddleston there. You see Ryan Partridge. You know, I think enough people don't give him credit. Definitely a huge help for that young man. So big win for that team.
Ryan, of course, working with the team now, and he gave credit to Bob Bruncati there in victory lane. Probably helped save the Speedway at this point and furthered the career of so many young drivers.
Yeah, it's huge. Bob Bruncati, Bill McAnally. We've got a lot of great owners over here that give so much back to the sport.
Heather?
A very close second place there for Tanner Gray. Tanner, first of all, we have to talk about that battle to the line and what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it was just racing. You know, this place produces great racing with it having a top and bottom groove. I think them laying down the PJ1 on both ends of the bottom really helped, especially for me there at the end. You know, unfortunately, I just made a few mistakes and lost too much ground and wasn't able to, you know, get to them sooner. But you know, the deal that happened coming here to the finish line, I mean, that's just racing. It's both drivers using up all the room, and unfortunately, I guess it cut his left rear down. I mean, that sucks, and I feel bad for him, but you know, it's just racing. So, yeah, I mean, a really good weekend for us. So, everybody from DGR Crosley brought me a really fast Toyota Camry, and really looking forward to getting to Bristol and applying what we learned here.
Speaking of what you learned, you told me after New Smyrna you were focusing on saving tires. You felt like you saved your equipment enough tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I think I did a better job. I think there's always room for improvement. But everybody at DGR has really helped me with, you know, picking up on things and not making the same mistake twice. So I think I did a better job. I think, like I said, there's still more room for improvement, but definitely way better than I was at New Smyrna. Thanks.
Love how they're playing Thriller in the background, Brandon, because it was.
It was a thriller, man. And I know he's hanging his head a little bit, but nothing to hold his head down at all. He ran a great race, and like you said, a huge improvement from New Smyrna for Tanner Gray.
Haley, the championship lead by 2, Heather.
Bringing it home third tonight for Bill McAnally Racing is Derek Kraus. Derek, during that race there, your team was telling you to watch your brakes. Your left front rotor was actually glowing. So were you worried at all about saving your equipment?
Yeah, more about the tires at first at the beginning of the race, but then later in the race the brakes started fading. That first stage I actually ran out, and there was 7 to go in the second part. With 7 to go in the race, I actually ran out going into 1, and my eyes were probably as big as a bowling ball going into 1 because I thought I was going to go on the fence. But luckily I was able to keep it off the fence, and that's when they got by me. But overall, I think it was a great night for our number 16 Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camry.
Now some excitement happened in front of you there coming to the checkered flag. What did you see?
Yeah, I think that was just good racing. I mean, this place at Irwindale is packed, so that's really good, and I think they had a really good show coming to the checkers there.
Third for Kraus tonight, 6th at Vegas, and he had a win back at New Smyrna in the East, so a good season so far for Derek Kraus.
Yeah, he's off to a great start, and I think we would have seen that car in victory lane if he didn't have those brake issues. That car was dominant all night long.
Hey, next right here on NBCSN, the Whelen Modified Tour from South Boston. You won't want to miss that. It was a great night. Ron Hornaday Jr. led the field on the pace laps. Little throwback California style, and then it was throwback racing California style at Irwindale, Brandon. It did not disappoint.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of everything. I mean, we saw Haley Deegan get into the side of Tanner Gray there, made a small mistake getting into one. We saw her charge back through the field, but ultimately, props to NASCAR for putting down that PJ1, created side-by-side racing, and that famous photo finish there at the end with Tanner Gray and the 9 of Trevor Huddleston.
Oh, that finish, and oh, the aftermath. Trevor Huddleston basking in the sunlight of California at his home track.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.